We all know the story, the fairy tale that includes a girl falling for a prince, dressing in white, and meeting him at the church. It's been engraved in our heads since Walt Disney had his big debut. That's exactly what happened on January 16, 1981. A fairy tale wedding destined for a happily ever after. Until the heartbreaking news from the doctor sent the happy couple on a life-altering journey. The happy couple was told they could not have children.
We had gone with my parents to Hilton Head and had taken my niece and nephew, Peppy and Mandy, and we went to a seafood restaurant. And in that seafood restaurant, in walked a woman with an older daughter and then triplet daughters. And the mother and all the daughters were dressed identically. Mm-hmm. And my daddy looked at Mark and said, "That's what I want for y'all, triplets."
But a twist of fate and a little faith turned a dream into a reality, and Maxine Bradley became a mother-to-be.
They were a miracle. After 12 years of trying, they were a miracle as a product of God's grace and medical technology. We didn't know there would be 3, though.
We wanted 4 kids.
With arms wide open, the family wanted to look into adoption since they couldn't have kids of their own.
Yeah, at one point we had decided to adopt, and we were contacted by an attorney that was going to hook us up with a young mother who was having a child they couldn't handle. And so we went to the hospital. Everything was set up, and when we got to the hospital, the staff of the hospital treated us like we were vultures. Well, and one of the grandparents decided to step in to raise the child, so we left the hospital brokenhearted. So, and then we filled out the papers to go through Bethany Christian Services.
We had started those papers.
Yeah, and then we had them all ready to mail. So on the day we found out that I was pregnant, we had all the paperwork ready to mail. So, but we didn't mail them. We had the adoption papers on the table ready to mail, and she was going in for a pregnancy test, and I went to work. And then she showed up in my office.
I went to work too.
Yes, she went to work too, and but then she showed up in my office, and we celebrated.
Then we found out on April the 5th. Well, it was funny during the ultrasound because she said, "Well, there's 1, there's 2," and we could see the ultrasound. She got real quiet, and then she said, "There's 3." And then we saw a bunch of other stuff, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, there must be like 10. And she said, "No, that's not babies." So we were ecstatic, but they knew the seriousness of triplets and how difficult it is to carry the potential problems you may have. So they weren't as ecstatic as we were. And then the doctor did have to talk to us later at another appointment. He talked to us about the chances and everything.
He discussed the odds of carrying triplets to full term and the possibility of having issues with one or more of them. And so he broached the subject of reduction, where they would technically abort 1 and leave the other 2. But that was not even in the realm of consideration. If God gave us 3, then 3 He would deliver.
The pregnancy went well without any complication. Maxine was put on bed rest through the pregnancy due to the weight of the babies.
I had to work half days for a while and then go home and rest. And then eventually I had to go on full-time bed rest. So I don't know how long that was, whether it was a month. The only time I did get to go out was the doctor allowed me to go to the state fair. So we went to the fair one night, and I was in a wheelchair. And I do remember that because I guess with all the noise, the babies just started moving, and I was so sore the next day. They were so active.
And while she was on bed rest, I remember one occasion where she said, I want an omelet. That's what I want. I want an omelet. And I started making her an omelet, and just the smell of it made her sick.
Yep.
She couldn't stand it.
And the only thing I ever craved was crushed ice.
Yeah.
I wanted crushed ice, and he couldn't find any. So he had to take a hammer and beat some up. Still wasn't the same, but
No.
it was a good effort. But a lot of people would ask, did you use fertility drugs or have a procedure? We always answered them. We told them.
That we didn't have anything. We weren't. It didn't bother us to talk about it. I mean, we think that we believed from the very beginning that those treatments, all that stuff, was a miracle.
Yeah.
It was just a miracle from God that it all worked, and so we weren't embarrassed by those questions at all. But I remember one thing that I can't remember how much this happened to you, but they wanted to touch. And I guess that happens to all pregnant women. But people want to touch your belly. I remember people asking to touch her belly. October 20th, 1994, at about, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was a Thursday. Well, we had gone that day, earlier that day, we had gone, had a normal appointment set up with Dr. Bacon. And Matt called me at the office and said she thought she was in labor. So I came home early, and we called the doctor's office and said we were coming in early, that we thought she was in labor, and they kind of laughed at us and said, nah, she's not in labor. So we got to the doctor's office, and they said, you all just sit. So we sat for a long while, and they said, well, I think she's in labor, and they said, no. Well, come on back and we'll take a look. And then they came running out to me screaming, saying, oh, she's not only in labor, she's 5 centimeters, so we got to go now. Get her over to the hospital now.
Yeah. When Dr. Bacon saw me, she said, oh, we got babies. She said, go straight to the hospital. Forget everything I said. There'll be somebody waiting for you at the front door with a wheelchair.
And there was.
And my mama, well, thank goodness, was with us, and she had to run behind the wheelchair because that guy was booking it down those halls.
Yep. Because they did not want her to have them naturally, because there was a fear that the first one were breech.
Yeah, Brittany was breech, and one of the other ones was breech.
So we didn't want to do that.
The anesthesiologist forgot about me.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, they're doing the C-section and all, and she's pulling out, and I'm just yawning. I'm like, oh my goodness, why am I so sleepy? I said, this is embarrassing. And I kept saying I'm so sleepy. And so then the anesthesiologist gave me something, and I've got the order wrong probably, but he gave me something because my blood pressure had dropped. So he then gave me, the side effect of that was nausea, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I told him I was going to be sick, and then he gave me something for that, and then I said, I'm hot, and then he gave me something for that, and I couldn't figure out what was going on, because by then I was exhausted. So at the end, when everything was over, he said, I got to apologize because I forgot about you. I was watching the birth and all, and I forgot all about you. So and he told me what he'd done and all, and and I was really exhausted by then.
The babies weighed 4'9", 4'10", and 4'13". 14 pounds of baby.
Well, this one will be Brittany.
That was one of them. That was one of them.
Really?
Brittany Cooper Bradley. This is Brittany Cooper Bradley.
Lindsay.
Kristen.
Kristen.
Lindsay Kristen.
Who'd you find out, Lindsay?
Lindsay Kristen Bradley.
This is Mark's name. He picked this one out. This is Erica Michelle.
Oh.
So we have an Erica, a Lindsay, and a Brittany. None of them rhyme.
And none of them are named after anybody. I was just going to let you
All
get the baby.
right.
There's little
My first
Brittany.
pair of socks and my first little sleeper.
There's little
Say hey to
Brittany.
Daddy.
Erica, this is you with your grandmother, okay? This is you with your grandmother. And you got your first little nightie on, see? First little nightie on, and see the little pink socks? Those are your first little socks. Okay, Lindsay, this is you. Isn't that pretty? And you got your first outfit on, see it? Yes, there's your little tooties. See your little tooties? Aren't they pretty? Aren't they pretty? Let's see if we can get in a little better. Yeah. Lindsay? Lindsay? Hey, darling. There's little Lindsay.
John and Ann Bradley became the proud grandparents of the three girls.
We were down at Armo, and where was I? We was out to the side of the house, and when they come around and I asked him if it was what it was, boys or girls, when he said there was 3 of them. I was glad.
Okay, Granddaddy still got Lindsay, and Grandmama's got Erica. Okay, we're gonna zoom in on Grandma.
They became our world because we had retired, and I don't know what in the world we would have done with our time. They were definitely miracles. They came from a lot of prayer from a lot of people, our church, our family, all the prayer that we had, because the doctors could not believe, because I did not gain, but what, 34 pounds?
Something like that.
And they were concerned about my weight gain because they wanted me to gain more, but the babies were growing, and they were surprised, shocked that they went into the newborn nursery. They never believed that would happen. And so it's nothing but miracles.
APGAR scale. When they were born, I was in the operating room with them. I was the first one that held all 3 of them together. But all 3 of them, when they came, there was a 10. Brittany was a 10, Lindsay was a 10, and Erica was a 9. And then they checked them couple minutes later, and all 3 were 10. So that's why they went to the regular nursery and home with us in 3 days. Never had any problems, no digestive issues, no breathing issues. They were all perfect.
Okay, we're leaving the hospital, little girls.
I changed the most
Mac
diapers.
changed the most diapers because she was there with them all the time, but I don't know, when my mother-in-law was there, she changed a lot too, and I changed some too when I was there on weekends or nights. And
she did a lot of work. She helped us out a lot. Every time we went to her house to visit, to my parents' house, she made sure that we did not leave with any dirty clothes, and she'd practically take them off you to wash them. And She always scrubbed that floor for y'all. If she knew you were coming, she'd scrub her floor so it'd be clean so y'all could crawl on the floor. And she let you play in the cabinets and everything with all the little Tupperware bowls and Cool Whip containers. And then when Mark had his accident in 95, December of 95.
And at that time, not only had I had that accident, but everybody was sick. Either bronchitis, pneumonia, or flu, but everybody was sick. But all three girls and Mac.
But that was the time she bonded with y'all. And so you were very special to her because she had helped raise you. That was 4 months. That was 4 months she had raised the girls. That was a special time for her because she bonded with the girls. And which I don't think that would have happened with us just going down there sporadically.
Yeah.
But you were very special to her. And she always knew who you were, even
Yep. Even in the
time
last
she
days.
passed, when she had Alzheimer's.
Yep.
Yeah,
Stuff I'd get up and change them.
the grandmothers loved to bathe the
Yes.
triplets. They just loved to give them baths. So I didn't really get to give them a bath until I was by myself 2 months after Mama went home. And for some reason, we don't know what happened, but Lindsay, after the bath, would start screaming. We don't know if the baby lotion burned or stung. But I do remember that because she would just start screaming when you started rubbing her down with the baby lotion. We never could figure out. We try to warm it up and everything, something.
When they were real little, it was okay. But they did like to sleep together. We noticed that. We would put them in one crib. And the three of them would sleep in one crib together. And of course, as they got bigger, then they went to their individual cribs. And but we did right with that. We adopted a policy that they were never going to sleep with us. So sometimes we'd put them to bed, and particularly Erica, if I remember right, would scream for an hour, not wanting to go to bed, and finally would just acquiesce and fall asleep. And so it wasn't too long before they started going to sleep at a regular time. But yeah, we did the right thing there because we couldn't let all three of them stay with us in our room at night.
All right, little girls, look at you. Now, Mama, which one's which?
This over here is
Erica.
Lindsay.
Let's
That's
see.
Erica over there, and this is
All right, Lindsay's on the left. Brittany's in the middle. And Erica's on the right. Okay, little girls. Now, Brittany was born first, so she's your older sister. You gotta listen to her. Lindsay was born second, so Erica, you're just in the hole. But that's all right. Daddy will fend for you, so don't you worry about it. All right. Now you all have had your baths and you're eating and you're just all bundled up, ready to enjoy life. Yeah. All right. And now there's where you're sitting on a pretty couch.
We had a train track that went behind our house. It was right behind our house. We got used to the trains going by, and they really didn't bother us that much. But the one particular night, we had decided to go out to eat, and Granny and Granddaddy came over to keep the girls, and we went up to Little Mexico, and it was very cool that night. In fact, I think we had jackets on. It was in January, and we made sure that we got to the restaurant and went home in a timely fashion so that Granny and Granddaddy weren't there late at night trying to take care of the girls. But at any rate, we went into the restaurant with our jackets on, and when we came out, it was like 70 degrees. and the temperature had changed. The atmosphere had changed. You could tell something was wrong. And so we got home. Mom and Daddy went home, and the storms came.
The lights blinked.
Yeah, power blinked, and then we heard what sounded like a train, and we knew what that was. It was a tornado, and so we grabbed the girls.
We were
and,
feeding two of them at a time. You had one in your hands, and I had, I think you had Erica, and I think I had Brittany, or either vice versa. And Lindsay was still in the carrier. So you had gone to the front door to see what was going on, and you saw the Christmas tree take off down the street.
Yep.
And so then you hollered for me to come get in the hall, and I had to pick up the other baby, and I picked up the carrier and then put Brittany or Erica on top of Lindsay and carried them both, and that's when the lights went off. And then I had to walk real slowly, and Mark was saying, "Come quickly, quickly!" And I said, "I can't because I'll fall." So I had to carry both of you in there, and we got in the hall.
Got in the hall and covered them up, and
Mark goes, "There goes our sunroom."
yeah, the whole house was shuddering, and we had a lot of glass windows in the sunroom. They were all the way around it, and you could hear them shuddering, and you could tell that the wind was getting violent. And so we heard things hitting the house. We heard bangs on the roof and everything. So the tornado actually came toward us from the back of the house, and because our house was down below the level of the road and the level of the train tracks up above, the tornado came across and stayed above the house. It took off the tops of all the trees in the yard and sent them to the neighbor's house. And then the tornado went over the neighbor's house and then came down into the road, in the main road, into Old Friars Gate there in Irmo, and tore up a lot of houses, tore up a lot of places. It looked like a war zone. It was horrible, horrible.
One house that just moved it off its foundation.
Off the foundation. And we're not talking about small houses. These are 2,500 square foot houses. And so I ended up, after it, ended up going out and assessing some of the damage. We didn't know what was in our roof because it was dark. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning at that point. And so I ended up having to go across the road to the Johnson's house, because their house had a big tree come down on the roof and busted a hole through into the bedroom. And so my neighbor and I got up on the roof and got all the limbs off of it and covered it all up. And there was a tree that had left our house. It was about the top third or more, maybe half of a pine tree, a tall loblolly pine tree, had broken off. And the tree had actually flipped through the air and gone down through the roof of my neighbor's house, the Johnson's house, went through the roof, into the garage, all the way down to the cement of the garage, just about 1.5 feet from the side of their brand new pickup truck. And of course, Terry told me I needed to come get my tree, and I said, and I told him, I said, once the tree leaves my yard, it's not my responsibility. So, but we kind of got a laugh out of it, but we were very, very fortunate. We were very, very blessed that nobody was hurt in our house or the Johnson's house, or we never heard of anybody getting hurt in any of the houses that were destroyed by the tornado.
Right there, you can barely see them. Right there at the top of the roof there. And right next to it. Very difficult to see in the shot. There's 2 limbs down to the roof of our house. absolutely enshrouded in pine trees. As time runs out, the one last shot of our doggie is now safe this morning. And I really don't know how, but the good Lord protected her. She was out in the storm. She's a very beautiful little doggie.
We had a dog that was outside dog. We didn't have any pets inside the house.
Her name was Princess.
Her name was Princess,
And
and
she really didn't get to interact with the girls
No.
because she died before they were what, 7 months old when she died.
because we went to we were on our way to Maryland, and she was sick, and we ended up taking her to a vet before we left, and they called us in Maryland and told us that she was out. They were out exercising her, and she had collapsed, and they needed to put her down, so they did.
Their favorite baby food was everything. And I never could find the meat. I was looking for the big jars of meat. I never looked at the little tiny baby food jars. I looked everywhere in the grocery store for meat because I never paid attention to the small jars because there was no need to buy any small jars. So I never could find any meat. So they were mostly raised on vegetables and fruit.
Now, didn't they like carrots?
They loved everything.
Yeah,
They loved
like
sweet
everything.
potatoes, green beans,
Sweet potatoes, oh,
carrots, and fruit. We'd sit them on. We'd put down the shower curtain first,
High chairs on the curtain,
and then we'd take a spoon and just
one right after the other.
take that spoon. We didn't bother changing the spoon,
They ate after each other from the very beginning,
and we just used one jar when it was empty. Open another one.
and they were all three pigs.
They would
Yeah.
just.
Yeah, they were all pigs. Yeah.
Most of the time, we did dress them alike.
And there was logical reasons for that too. Besides the fact of the novelty of being triplets, there was a logical reason for that because if one ever got away from us, we could point at the other two and say, "She's dressed just like this," and so there was a practical reason to do that. But there was also just the novelty of having triplets. When they were very little, if we were leaving for any length of time, of course, you have to pack up all the stuff. And since there's three of them, you got three of everything. You got three
Sets of clothes,
Sets of
three sets
clothes,
of all the diapers,
bottles, wipes, food. Everything's times three, which, it's just a...
We had a big diaper bag, and it was always packed,
Yeah.
except for the bottles, but it was always packed. And so that we grabbed this big old diaper bag that weighed
Yeah.
a ton.
As they got older, it's just having three kids. A lot of people have three kids.
Well, we had the triplet stroller.
Yeah,
That
we had
helped a
triplet
lot.
stroller.
That helped a
Yeah.
lot. We were very disappointed that
Yeah.
it didn't come in till March. And we couldn't understand that because it was paid for way back. We didn't know whether they just order it when the babies are born or what, but it was paid for before they were born. So we did get a lot of use out of that. Of course, we didn't go a lot though because Mark was working, and then I started working from home. Couldn't take them to the grocery store. Really, you couldn't take them shopping. People stopped you so often. So if we needed to go somewhere, one of us would go and the other one would stay at home. And we took them to church when we could. We couldn't start taking them to church until after they were 2 months old since they were premature.
One time when they brought it to our church for the first time, and of course we wanted to show you off, and it was really a lot of fun, a nice thing to remember. All the people just had to see them, had to see the triplets.
The Bradleys couldn't have done it without the amazing support system they had.
Mostly my mother-in-law.
And your mother.
Mac's mother would she was the one that contributed the most simply because she moved in with us. She lived about over an hour away, and so it wasn't practical to go back and forth, so she just moved in with us on those two occasions. My mother helped out also. She would come over and stay, and over time others helped out. My sister-in-law came
And
over.
my brother Butch came and spent the night and helped out
Yeah.
and stayed with us.
So we had a lot of support, and our best friends were having kids at the same time. So
Yeah.
you know, we would all get the kids together and everything, and that was a lot of support too.
We do remember the year we gave them the cozy coops. Got them out of the boxes, and what they wanted to play with was the boxes.
Yep. Cozy coops. Boxes. Boxes are fun.
Yeah.
We even got them a refrigerator box one time, didn't
Well, we had the cozy coop boxes, and we cut windows in it and little doors, and they went in and out of them. We kept them in the sunroom, and that's what they love to do.
Oh, goodness. What's going on with me? Ouch! This is what their nursery looks like for right now. Right now, we have 2 in one crib and 1 in the other. Okay? We usually just put 1 in this crib. Don't ask me why. That's that crib. And here is the other crib. This is our crib right here that I'm showing now. The other one was Heidi and Charles's. That was used by Megan and Charles Ellis. And here's their dresser. Here's the lamp Mommy made. Here's our lamp. Look at the border. It's all the way around. Daddy put it up. He did a good job. And each one of our cribs has the same mobile, the little rabbits, given by Betty, Aunt Betty, Janet, and Lynn. And then here is our changing table. It's a mess right now. Everyday use. Here's the humidifier that we run now, vaporizer, for Brittany to try to clear up her breathing.
Brittany was sick one day while we were down in Bamberg.
After you'd finished preaching at Crestview,
Yeah,
we came home.
we finished preaching and down in Orangeburg, and we're on our way home, and Brittany was sick, and we needed to stop and get some medicine, so we stopped at the Walmart. It was in Irmo, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Harbison.
at Harbison. And Brittany, stayed in the van. In fact, I guess all 3 of them were in the van with me while Mac went inside to get the medicine. And I turned around, and Brittany had what we found out later was a febrile seizure. So she was having a seizure, and I didn't know what to do, and I started screaming for people to call 911. I started kind of halfway running to the door and then running back to the van, and I didn't know what to do. And this woman showed up behind me. And she stepped around me and got in the van and said, "I know what to do." So she took her finger and bent her finger and put it in Brittany's mouth. And shortly after that, the ambulance got there. And when they came up to take care of Brittany, I told them what was going on, and I said, "This woman's taking care of her." And we looked in the van, and that woman was there. So we believe that was an angel. And we were unaware that it was an angel at the time. But I looked all over the place for that woman, and I never saw her again. But
Brittany had another seizure too at the house.
Yep.
After that, I called 911, and the ambulance came, and they said she was still seizing. So they took her to the hospital. I rode in the ambulance with her. And, that was an experience, because both times when they have a child coming in like that, they don't know if someone's beaten them or what, because they were very, to the point of rude, questioning you and everything. And then after they finally figure out that you haven't hurt your child, then their attitude does change towards you. But she was okay. After the seizures, we did have to do a sleep study to make sure that there was no epilepsy because we were told if she was prone to seizures, we had to be 9 minutes away from a hospital.
Something like that.
And so that kind of determined where we lived in Rock Hill at first, because there were several places we were looking at, and I guess the Lord worked it out because the sleep study results did not come back in time, so we lost a potential home site. But God worked it out. He put us where we needed to be.
Happy birthday to you. Sing with me.
No, no.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lindsay, Erica, Brittany. Happy birthday to you. You're 1 year old today. And look at all the toys. Yeah. Yeah. Look at all the toys.
I think for the first birthday, didn't we have cupcakes? Didn't we give them each a cupcake
Yeah.
and they just
Smeared
made a
it.
mess?
Yeah, as usual.
Yeah.
Is it good, Lindsay? Is it good? Grab some more. Yes. Oh, Brittany.
Good. Erica. Come on, Erica.
Fine. It's in here.
There
you go.
Look at Brittany.
Look how much Brittany had in her hand.
Putting her hand right down in her, she's gonna have it all over her hand.
That's all.
Oh.
That's the whole part of it, Brittany.
Look at Erica.
Watch here. Watch here. Oh,
She dove in it.
No hands.
No turkey.
Celebrating a birthday was always multiplied by 3.
Hey, Lindsay. Don't worry about that old baby. Lindsay.
The best time to do it would be like at Chick-fil-A, somewhere else where you didn't have to clean up all the mess. And they provided so much. And they had the playground and all. But it was fun.
It's hard to take one apart from the three because all the girls have special personalities and just everything is special about it to us. Now you're talking to a grandparent who can see no wrong in their grandparent children. So they're special. They're special. We had a good time when they were here with us, and we would fix them breakfast the next morning, and they loved pancakes and hash browns and sausage.
Pancakes, sausages, and chocolate milk. When we moved up here, I enjoyed them coming over here when we were building the house and all that kind of thing. I would be out here with you. We always had a big time at the birthdays.
And we love doing that. I miss those kind of things since they've grown up, but that's life.
Brittany was slow bringing her hair back in, but Lindsay had red hair. So we adopted nicknames for them pretty quick. Lindsay, we always called Pumpkin, and Erica, we called her Sweet Pea from that comic strip because of the way she began to crawl.
Popeye.
Popeye. Yeah, it was Popeye. She looked like Sweet Pea on Popeye crawling around. The girls couldn't pronounce Brittany, so they always said Bree Bree. I used to love to, one at a time usually, take them to the football games and toss a football or go see the Gamecocks play in Williams-Brice. They always used to love that.
Once the girls were older, the family decided it was a good time to get pets.
Got Buster and the girls, all of them, love pets. They love cats, they love dogs.
And JoJo.
Yeah, Erica is obsessed with dogs.
And JoJo. JoJo was a cat. And what was the other cat's name that we got?
Silly Willy, and there was
No.
Silly Willy. There was
Bingo.
yeah,
That was it. They had,
all kinds
and
of.
they kept, the funny thing
cats
about
and
JoJo
dogs.
was they kept telling all the teachers, pray for JoJo. She has the diarrhea.
Yeah,
That's
I
what they
remember
said
that.
over and over. She has the diarrhea.
In Sunday school class. Pray for JoJo.
You know
She has
what?
the diarrhea.
She has the diarrhea. They said it like that. The diarrhea.
Yeah.
And then they would come to us and say, I have the cold. I want to go to the reunion. They said it like that every time.
We wanted them to find their own path. We didn't have any preference. We always joked that we wanted one to be a doctor, one to be a lawyer, and what was the other one?
A mechanic
And the other one a mechanic.
or a plumber.
Or a plumber, so that we have our bases covered, whatever we needed. And but really, honestly, all we wanted them to do was to do well in school, get an education, and pursue their dreams, whatever they are. Didn't matter. Didn't care about what they did. Just so they did what they loved. Which one gave us the most trouble? It was Erica.
Yes.
Hands down. And we're not ever really sure why, just personality. But of course, we always called her and Lindsay, Lucy and Ethel.
Yep.
Because Lucy and Ethel on the I Love Lucy show were always into all kinds of shenanigans, and they were. Brittany was a little bit more straight-laced and
Brittany wait till they got
girlish.
to the point that they were going to do something dangerous, and she'd come back, Mama, gotta come see what they're doing.
Yep. And but Lindsay and Erica both, they would just do stupid, crazy things. They didn't think about danger. They didn't think about
Yeah, Lindsay just followed
anything.
along,
They
whatever
just-
Erica came up with.
Yeah, and so
The girls are very different. We always had, for an answer, yes, no, and maybe. We never had a majority. They are not identical. They are fraternal. Oh, Brittany was like very mature, and you could tell even in the hospital she was like with nursing. Mom, I know what to do. Watch me. And she did. She relates better to the older kids, always did. That's what people would say to me, that Brittany is just so mature, even when she was like a year and a half old. Brittany liked to
Yeah.
play with dolls. She liked to ride her bicycle. She liked things that normal kids like, normal girls. Like she liked the princess stuff and Barbies.
she was a little bit prissy. She really loved school. She liked being around her friends at school. Really liked school.
It was school. I mean, it wasn't fun, but it wasn't boring. I mean, I don't know.
She's a bossy pants. She likes to boss people around. She likes to be in control. But she's good at nursing.
Brittany is very bossy.
Well, to me, she's one of the sweetest girls ever.
She is what she wanted to be. She's a nurse. And later on, as she got older, she decided she wanted to be a labor and delivery nurse, and that's what she is. She's done really, really well.
Lindsay was the patient one. She always, I would have to give the other two their food or their bottle before Lindsay. She would sit back and wait patiently, and she could entertain herself. She seemed to, it'd be okay if you weren't paying attention to her. She was okay with that as a baby. For some reason, we always lost.
Yep.
I lost her one time at Carowinds, and I had them, and just, we turned, and she just went straight. And then when I looked down, I was like, oh my. So I was looking frantically for her, and somebody says, are you missing a daughter? They said, there she is, because she was dressed just like the other two. And then at the mall, that happened.
Yeah.
We all went into a store, and she just kept on walking.
Yep.
Never noticed that we turned in, and then when we went to leave the store, Mark said, Mac, you got Lindsay? And I said, no, you have her. And I thought he was kidding. And we realized we weren't kidding. We started panicking, and some lady had found her and taken her to the policeman, so he went and bought her ice cream, and she was just having a ball.
Yeah, she's just at our expense.
Yes. We were frantically searching the mall But you got to remember, this mall was at that time was not populated.
Yeah.
So we were very upset. But that's just Lindsay. She kind of goes off. She's not paying a bit of attention to what you're doing. She just
she's
kept on
20.
walking.
She's 23 years old and still does that.
Lindsay is very tomboyish. She likes sports. She's like softball, volleyball. She's played all kinds of sports like her whole life, and she's really good at it. So she's very athletic.
She loves sports.
She
Absolutely
She used to love.
any kind of sports.
She used to love to watch the Bob Vila. Is that his name?
Yeah, Bob Vila, the guy that
Build stuff.
builds stuff. Yeah.
That was her favorite show. She'd sit down and watch it.
Oh, I love sports, obviously. Major football fan. And I love to read. And I love music. I love to sing all the time. Just not in front of people, like at church and stuff. Like on the stage, like in the pews, cool. But on the stage, no.
She's the triplet that you would see dressed up. She's the one who would go to sporting events with her face painted. She's the one who's going to be dressed up like a superhero. She's very fun to be around. She's very active.
I would have liked to have a brother to play football with me because they chicken out all the time.
Lindsay is a math whiz. She's very smart. She's constantly proving someone wrong or trying to be smarter than someone else. She's always trying to be ahead of the game. Lindsay earned herself the nickname the Great Wise Sage Lily from her sisters.
Lindsay wanted to be a school teacher, a math school teacher, high school.
She always did want to be a teacher, as far as I can remember. Yeah. And she had the opportunity to do that. She graduated from Winthrop and had a degree in math and could have gone to be a teacher, but she got involved in the mission field and then she got married. Yeah. And that kind of changed all of that for her.
Erica or Brittany were the first ones I thought would get married, not Lindsay. Definitely not Lindsay, since she said she was never getting married up until, a few months before she got married.
Lindsay wanted to be a nun, a Baptist nun is what she would call it. She did not want anything to do with marriage, anything to do with boys, nothing to do with having her own kids. She loved other kids, but she didn't want her own kids.
I don't know who I thought would be first, not maybe Erica. Maybe Erica, because she liked the boys, I believe, more than the other two when they were young.
Well, being the first one married, I never thought that would happen because Erica was going to be the first one married. And then we thought Brittany was going to be the first one married. And then somehow I got married. I'm not sure where Austin came from, but he did. And I'm glad that he did. I have 2 fake teeth. That makes me very unique because I always win the 2 truths and a lie because I have 2 fake teeth and I'm a triplet, so always win. Well, I got my 2 fake teeth when we were about to start a softball game. I was warming up the JV and I was bending down to get a glove and I told the girl not to swing the bat, but she didn't listen and the bat hit my face and there went my teeth and they wouldn't let me look for them, so we lost them. And so I got 2 fake teeth. Can't even tell. She did a great job with them. So it didn't hurt at all though. I didn't feel it.
Hopefully that she'll end up back on the mission field. When all this sickness is gone.
Erica's a live wire. Has always been a live wire.
Erica, if I remember right, would scream for an hour, not wanting to go to bed, and finally would just acquiesce and fall asleep. She was the one that was always into everything, and she was always kind of the wild child. I think she felt an awful lot of competition with her sisters, which was unwarranted and unnecessary. But she was crazy over animals from a very young age. And
yeah, I remember when for her birthday one year, this was when she was in grammar school. I might have been the 2nd grade, 1st grade. We picked her up from school and we were going to take them to Chick-fil-A for their birthday or something like that, and had a little party, I think. But anyway, then all she could talk about was a horse. She couldn't stop talking about a horse. And we went to the mall afterwards just to walk around, and she'd go up to total strangers and talk about a horse. And it was unbelievable. It was like, what? She can't stop. She just kept talking about a horse. She always wanted a horse.
We just weren't financially able to do that for her, but yeah, she always wanted horses. She was always crazy about horses.
And dogs and cats.
Any animal. She would go out and try to find anything.
She'd collect bugs.
Bugs, anything. But that was fine. That was good. Didn't like school. I think she liked to be around the kids, around the social part of it, but school, no. She just wasn't cut out for that. Very different than her sisters. It's just the way life is.
She liked to play outside.
Yep.
Well, all of them liked to be outside. And she really enjoyed playing outside and being out where she could just go and run. Of course, I remember the time when she's trying to teach one of the dogs to pull the wagon, and eventually she's pulling the wagon with the dog in it. So I think the dog trained her.
Always wanted to be a veterinarian, just like her daddy did when he was a kid, but he never got that job done, and she hadn't either. But she still got a chance to do it. She's young yet. She's got chances.
Erica was a great swimmer. She loved to swim, and she's like a fish in water.
So had a lot of extremes. She was either very happy and laughing, or she was angry and hostile. Extremes. Extremely angry, extremely happy. Extremely angry, extremely happy. The word extremely sad, or extremely. Everything was extremely. There was never a calmness about it. And that was kind of hard for us to deal with because we didn't know how to respond to it. We didn't know how to react to it. And that still exists today. And of course, when the type 1 diabetes showed up when she was 12 years old, that changed life dramatically for all of us, and changed her. It changed her emotions for the first little while there, for the first, I don't know, year or two, whatever. Well, she was gung-ho about taking care of herself and making sure everything was good. And then she began to rebel against that for a long while, didn't take very good care of herself.
It's been hard to deal with and grow up as a child because there are restrictions. And she's done good though. We hope all the time she'll do better though and keep her sugar down.
Erica is special. She loves animals. And she's got this diabetes. And I do too. But it's really taken a toll on her, and she's just special.
She was her own person. And good, bad, extremes, whatever. She was just as special and unique as the other two.
Yes. I figured she would have a career where she was doing something creative because she has such a creative side to her. I thought either veterinarian or either she'd be an interior decorator or designing things, jewelry, clothing, because she does have that creative side to her.
Erica is very wild and different and unique. Erica's into cars and modeling.
I was the one who got piercings and tattoos and all that stuff. I absolutely love animals. I love horseback riding. I would love to own my own horse. I just don't have the money for one. Anything with dogs, I love doing. I have 2 dogs of my own. It's Snickers and Draco. They are my world. They're like kids to me, and I've always had like this soft spot for animals in my heart. I'm also into Mustangs. When I was younger, I told my dad that I would have a Mustang one day because I found out about them because a Mustang has a horse on the front of it. So I was like, I'm gonna have a Mustang one day. I decided to go get a Mustang once my ex-boyfriend was into them, so I decided to get one. And we found one that I liked. And I told my dad, I was like, I'm gonna bring a Mustang home tomorrow. And he said, no, you're not. I said, yes, I am. And he said, no, you're not. And so the next night, I pulled it into the driveway and I walked inside. I said, Dad, I brought the Mustang home. He said, no, you didn't. I said, yeah, I brought a Mustang home. So it was a stock automatic silver Mustang, and now it is a Furious Fuchsia straight drive Mustang. I really like anything that goes fast. I've just started getting into bikes and riding motorcycles. I like to go race the car, drive the car, autocross, anything I can do on wheels is basically, it's what I want to do and it's what I'm interested in.
Erica's into cars, specifically her hot pink Mustang. She loves her car and she loves dogs. Erica's the wild one. Like, there's one in every family that's the wild one. That's Erica. She feels that role. But she's a good person. She's really good at what's it called? Graphic design and stuff.
But she did play sports. All three of them
Yep.
played sports. They played softball. All three of them were very good. They played softball. They played basketball. They played volleyball.
Best part about being a triplet is probably the fact that everybody remembers who you are.
I can go anywhere and they know exactly who I am. They're like, oh, you're one of the triplets. And oh, that does so well. Like, if you're ever looking for a job or you need a contact for something, everybody remembers you. It's great.
It was funny because when people didn't know we were triplets, they wouldn't mix us up. But then when they found out we were triplets, they mix us up all the time, even though we don't look anything alike.
The worst part about being a triplet is your siblings never get you birthday presents.
Being a triplet kind of makes it where you're not really your own person anymore. You're just a triplet. So people now see you as 3 people instead of 1 person, and it's really hard to be yourself and your own person. Even though each of us are completely different, we're not identical, we're fraternal. Everybody compares you to your sisters. You're always compared, asked, why aren't you as smart as them? Why aren't you pretty as them? Questions like that, they're always asking you and comparing you to your sisters. So it's really hard to compete with 2 people constantly in your whole life.
Sharing a birthday it's kind of like, I mean, it takes, I guess, everyone else thinks it's a special day, but you're kind of like, oh, it's all of our birthdays at the same time. So it's just almost like a regular day because nobody just gets like a special day just for them because it's all together.
Starting in about 5th grade, we were moved to private school, and that's when the separation between me and my sisters really took full effect. Back in private school, they had already decided to split me and my sisters up. So they put Lindsay and Brittany in one class and they put me in a different class. And so it was the rest of our lives like that. Every grade after that, Lindsay and Brittany were put in the same classes and I was put out into a separate class. And so really they became good friends, they became close and everything like that. And with me, I became very separated and just, I never got the chance to really like mingle with them, I guess, or bond with them. So I was kind of left out in the dark with it.
Lindsay and I had some of the same friends, but we didn't have the same friends with Erica.
I like my sisters, no matter how crazy they make me.
There's so many times we would take them out, Ann and I would take them out shopping and things like that, which was very special.
It would have been a lot easier if they had been born separately. But
Maybe, depending. I think there's some advantages to having them all born together, but there are some disadvantages too. I think that each one of them would have been able to shine more if they had not been in competition with their sisters all the time.
But I think they had so many doors open to them because they were triplets.
Yeah.
Because everyone made a connection with them and remembered who they were?
Oh, I think together is a wonderful experience. You feel the same toward each one of them. And I just think the three has been a wonderful experience. One that we'll never forget. And of course, I know we're old now, but we just enjoyed it, yeah, all the way.
Beauty through the first things